Well, raise your hand if you thought Manchester City, Real Madrid, was going to finish 4-0. Raise your hand if you think that was going to be the result of this epic battle between these two powerhouses. This is me not raising my hand because I am shocked. Shocked at that result. Football fans far and wide, welcome to the Football v Football podcast. We are back. Yes, we are back with European football. We are here talking about the second leg, the shocking conclusion of the Real Madrid Manchester City bout in the Champions League. 4-0. After that first leg looked extremely competitive, 1-1, hard-fought game. Even City are talking about how that ball went over the line and shouldn't have counted. It should have been out, even though later City lost possession back to Madrid and it came back to KDB before that prodigious strike. We're going to dive into this game. This is crazy. What a way for Madrid to be kicked out of this tournament. I did not expect this, especially after how well they played against Liverpool. We're going to dive right into this one. I want to thank you guys for tuning back in. I know we've been gone from English football for a while, but we're going to dive right back into this one. As you can see the background here, the blue and white, the support of the of Manchester City here. But tactics, all about tactics in this one. So Pep for Manchester City played the same 11 that he did in the first leg. And he did not use a single sub in that game. He did in this game. This was a very different game. He put John Stones as a defensive mid and left only 3 on the back line. And now, as somebody that watches a lot of Premier League, this is not something that he usually does. He usually has that typical 4 defensive back line. And notably left on the bench for City in this one, Foden, Mahrez, and Laporte. I mean, what a trio to have the luxury to keep on your bench, and also Alvarez, and we're going to bring him up later. What a luxury to have. What a luxury to have as a finisher that comes in and substitutes for Haaland. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. And for Madrid, notably left on the bench here, and again, this is going to be very important to discuss later, were Tchouaméni and Rudiger. And speaking of Rudiger, Ancelotti might rue the day that he left him on the bench, but we're going to go ahead and talk about this game. If you saw this game, you saw Manchester City on the front foot the entire first half hour of this game. And we're just going to go through some of them. What happened here? In the 7th minute, a classic KDB to Haaland feeding chance, but Madrid early on swarmed Haaland, and there was no one in support for City, but they quickly learned from this. And there were memes going around about KDB feeding the ball to Haaland, and Haaland just kind of waiting there for it. There was that Beetlejuice meme. You know what I'm talking about. But early on, they swarmed him after that pass. I think there were maybe 4 or 5 people around him, and City immediately adjusted to that. They had many chances. City had many chances in the first 12 minutes. I think they had at least 5 chances. Grealish to Haaland, another one. Again, a tremendous chance to take the lead on a header, but Courtois was just equal to it. I mean, Haaland had plenty of chances on this day, and Courtois saved all of them. This was the first of those headers that should have went in by Haaland, but Courtois, that lengthy goalkeeper for Madrid, equal to it. Gave me nightmares of when he played Liverpool and was just stopping everything. And then the same thing happened in the 21st minute. Again, an immaculate header by Haaland, saved with an even better save by Courtois here. And you thought Courtois was just going to be the man of the match when you watch the first 20 minutes of this game. He was just kind of stopping everything, but it didn't go that way. As we saw later, City, like I said, they were firmly on the front foot to start this match. But at the end of the day, you just can't hold City when they're bringing that kind of pressure. So it took Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva finally broke through with a beautiful strike in the 23rd minute to break the deadlock and take them over the line to 1-0 to start the scoring here. And Madrid was just feeble on offense all game. To quote my man Frank the Tank Fleming, didn't have their first chance until the 35th minute when Cruz had to go from outside the box. A prodigious strike that hit the top post there. Perhaps it was just slightly tipped by Ederson. I didn't see it. The announcer said it was slightly tipped. It looked like it was not tipped at all. But Cruz not striking on that and not getting that goal in the 35th really changed the course of this game, because if they could have tied it up 1-0 after City had all those chances in the first half, it would have been a completely different story. But it didn't happen. And in fact, a couple minutes after that, that man again, that Portuguese, Bernardo Silva, struck again, cleaning up kind of an attack that was coming up from the other side, and everyone was focused on the left side. Bernardo Silva just saw an opening for a header on the right side of the goal. It was kind of a semi-open goal, and he just kind of cleaned up the attack with a header. Went up 2-0. Bernardo Silva on fire, excited, jubilant. The whole team going up 2-0 in this kind of a match. Huge momentum swing. And then to start the second half for Madrid, Alaba had to go on a free kick with a very similar result to what happened to Cruz in the first half. Again, top of the goal. They were both going for the top of the goal. They were trying to take advantage of the fact that Ederson is not the length of Courtois, but this one for sure was tipped away by Ederson. I definitely saw that one. Tremendous job, Ederson. I have to say, I think this is the best game I've ever seen Ederson play. He had these at least one of the stops, but then another one supposedly before with the Cruz save, and then later on in this game was 2-0. He had many stops. There was an attack that Madrid had with Benzema and Vinny, where he made 3 stops in a row. They were very impressive stops. So kudos to Ederson in this one. But then, as you saw the flow of this game, Madrid were just kind of getting really frustrated, racking up the fouls, racking up the yellow cards. And then in the 76th minute, Man City finally put it away with an Akanji goal. The Swiss defender, a header off a set piece, and essentially that was all she wrote. If you go up 3-0 after the 76th minute, that's pretty much it. And if a defender is scoring on you like that, but then to add insult to injury there, Alvarez came in for Haaland, who couldn't score, even with all those chances. But Alvarez put the finishing touches on this match with a goal in the 91st minute. Just sloppy defending by Madrid led to an easy goal, of course, to put the cap on this game to make it 4-0. There seems to be a lot of 4-0 games across football for whatever reason, and it really just signifies like a complete drubbing, and that's what this was. As you look at the overall atmosphere of this game and kind of what happened, there were many Manchester City players that took aim at goal all day. Particularly KDB had some shots that were just kind of off target. But towards goal. And, of course, Haaland. Many chances. Should have had 3 goals very easily, but Courtois was equal to them all. But when you have that kind of depth, that when your star players can't score, you have a guy like Bernardo Silva that provides that finishing precision, which he has in a very unique way. You have a complete team, and they didn't even require Foden or Mahrez, and these are just guys that are auxiliary. They can be brought in as just backup ammunition. I mean, these would be starting guys, star guys in many teams. So, just incredibly impressive by City here. On the Madrid side, You're just left to wonder, like I mentioned earlier, how it would have been different if Ancelotti had chosen to start Rudiger, who is an extremely physical defender that would have put more pressure on City's offense for sure, and Chouameni, who is a very skilled, kind of a defensive midfielder, but is very skilled on the attack. He could have, perhaps helped the attack early for Madrid. Maybe put in that first goal that would have made it 1-1. That would have changed the whole kind of trajectory of this game. But Madrid just shockingly lacked creativity and energy and passion for this game. This is a team that has been here before, that has experience. City has never, of course, never won a Champions League. Maybe they were hungrier for it. Madrid, this is old hand for them. Maybe they just didn't. They didn't have that fire that City did. But I was shocked that a team like Madrid would lose in this way. So the result in this one is OMG. No, I'm just kidding. So City moves on to the Champions League final as favorites, regardless of what happens in the the Milan bout, Inter versus AC Milan, aiming for their first ever Champions League title. And this is, in my opinion, the best team they've ever had, or at least in the past 20 years. Clearly, very clearly. Not only that, but of course, City has the opportunity to win the treble. And they have the FA Cup coming up against Manchester United, that Manchester derby on June 3rd, with a chance to win the FA Cup. And they can clinch the Premier League. In a season where Arsenal thought they had it won, they can clinch the Premier League with a win against Chelsea on Sunday. They still have a game in hand against Arsenal. So if they win this game on Sunday, that's it. They clinch it. So what a season this can be for Manchester City. But of course, on the other hand, when you go back to Madrid, a promising season here ends in disappointment. Of course, they put on an impressive performance against Liverpool. Like I mentioned, I mean they killed them, and Liverpool is showing that maybe they were slow starters this year. But Liverpool looks like they might sneak into Champions League play next year. They're creeping into fourth in the Premier League. So maybe they caught them during a slump. Liverpool was slumping kind of early in the season. Maybe that's what that was. Maybe Madrid was not as good as we thought they were. Of course, they're kicked out of the Champions League now, but also Barcelona in La Liga is, I believe, 14 points ahead of them. Clearly going to win La Liga here, so they'll have no chance at that. So a season that had real promise for Real Madrid ends in big disappointment. And for Manchester City, this could be a special season. Manchester City fans, you might have a treble and the season of all seasons here for Manchester City, who, in the Premier League, I think have won it 6 out of the past 7 seasons. So that's old hand for them. You're a little bit spoiled there, but to get the FA Cup and especially the Champions League, no one will have anything else to say. I distinctly remember in an Aston Villa versus Manchester City game, maybe it was last year, a couple years ago, or maybe it was more, even further back than that. All Aston Villa has on City is that they've won a Champions League, and they chanted that in the crowd. And if City gets a Champions League title, nobody can say anything anymore. So that'll do it for this quick recap of that second leg, that shocking second leg of Real Madrid versus Manchester City here in the Champions League. As far as the podcast goes, I want to give a quick shout out to folks watching from around the world. I've been looking through the metrics for the podcast, and we're gaining a global podcast audience that is expanding every day, and I'm very excited about that. I'm very thankful for everyone that's listening from all over, and I want to list some of the countries here that people are listening from according to those metrics in order of increasing listenership. They're listening from, you're listening from Sweden, Uruguay, Romania, Bangladesh, United Arab Emirates, Netherlands, Colombia, Italy, Belgium, Hong Kong, Jersey, Ghana, Australia, Ukraine, Senegal, Turkey, Portugal, Palestine, Japan, Nigeria, Nepal, Malta, Austria, Mauritius, Egypt, Brazil, India, Germany, New Zealand, Canada, Bahrain, France, Saudi Arabia, Ireland, United Kingdom, and of course the United States. I want to thank you guys so much listening from wherever you are, and leave a comment telling us where you're listening from. Would really appreciate it. And let me know what kind of content you want to continue to see here as we move into the summer. Thank you guys so much again for tuning into this recap of the Champions League leg as we move into the final. Inter Milan and AC Milan, I believe, are playing tomorrow to see who has the privilege of playing City in the UCL final. It's going to be a good one. But again, football fans, thank you so much for tuning into this one, and have a fantastic day, football fans.